Facts Verse presents 15 countries Americans are not welcome in. Many people love to travel. When you travel abroad, you get to see new places, you meet new people, observe different customs. America is an amazing country. The United States of America, that is. I understand Canada is part of America, and so is South America, but we're referring to the U.S. Anyway, people in other parts of the world believe that the U.S. is amazing, but there are people from some countries who do not think that the U.S. or America in general is great at all. Here are 15 countries Americans are not welcome in. Before we get into our list, jump down to the comments and let us know, outside of America, what was the best place you ever visited. Tell us in the comments. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Egypt. When the United States didn't back Hosni Mubarak, the Egyptians got a sour taste in their mouths for America. Their ill feeling toward people in the U.S. only got worse when the country failed to do anything about the overthrow of the Muslim Brotherhood. According to a survey conducted by Pew Research, 85% of Egyptians have an unfavorable view of America. Egypt is an amazing place with plenty of wondrous things to see, but most people there won't welcome you if you are from the U.S. Jordan. Jordan is Egypt's neighbor, and the people who live there feel pretty much the same about America as the Egyptians do. A survey similar to the Pew Research was performed, and it was found 85% of the people have an unfavorable view of the United States. Since the survey was completed in 2003, American favorability has dropped even further. Turkey. The people of Turkey don't like Americans too much. According to the Pew Research survey, 73% of Turkey's residents don't like Americans. Many say that it's due to a huge influx of Syrian refugees who didn't get significant assistance from the United States government. Palestinian territories. Most of the world sees the United States as being a country that fully supports Israel, and while this is good for Israel, there are some who are not happy about that. The people in Palestinian territories don't like the fact that the U.S. has thrown so much support to Israel. According to many surveys, somewhere between 66% and 72% of Palestinians give unfavorable ratings to America. If you want to visit the area, you probably need to stay within Israel's borders. Russia. The tension between Americans and Russians has been going on since the Cold War. There was a time when Americans were spending thousands of dollars building bomb shelters in fear that Russia would attack the U.S. Movies like Red Dawn and The Day After didn't help with America's fear of Russia. Over the years, the tension did ease a bit, but that doesn't mean the Russians adore Americans. When the U.S. was opposed to Russia's intervention in the Ukraine, the Russians started to feel unfavorable towards America again. According to the Pew survey, 71% of Russia does not think favorably of Americans. Belarus. Belarus is like the friend who hates you just because their best friend hates you. This country is very friendly with Russia, so since things between Russia and the United States are pretty cold right now, they're not fans of Americans either. According to the Pew survey, 69% of the people of Belarus feel negatively toward the U.S. and its citizens. Greece. There aren't any severe tensions between the United States government or Greece's government, but for some reason, the people of Greece don't really like Americans. The Greeks are like the girl in school who hates you because you can afford to wear the most expensive sneakers and stylish clothes while they can't. They're jealous. Yep, well, Greece is riddled with debt, and when America tries to offer messages of hope, they refuse to embrace it. The United States is doing better than Greece financially, and 63% of the citizens there resent America for it. Iran. In 1979, Iran seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. They took 52 American hostages, and the world watched and waited for their release. Negotiations took place between the two countries in 1980 and 1981. A group of Iranian students took the U.S. diplomats and citizens hostage. The reason for the siege to begin with was that Jimmy Carter allowed Iran's deposed Shah, who'd been expelled from the country months before, to enter the United States for cancer treatment. It was also a drastic way for Americans to declare a break and end American interference with its affairs. The hostages were released after 444 days on January 20, 1981. It wasn't until President Ronald Reagan was sworn into office the hostages were finally released. Since then, the Iranians have not had much love for America. According to the Pew survey, 61% of the population is not too keen on Americans. Lebanon. Since 2007, the United States Congress has placed conditions on the annual aid to Lebanon. This decision has led to 57% of the population there having a very unfavorable rating of Americans and the country as a whole. Argentina. The people of Argentina don't trust the United States to act responsibly. According to the Argentine Post, 57% of the population gives the U.S. and its residents an unfavorable rating. Austria. According to MarketWatch, 55% of the people in Austria don't like the United States or its citizens. They don't really have a good reason to be against the U.S., but somehow that doesn't matter to them. The fact that they just don't like people from the USA is a fact. Slovenia. According to a recent survey, 54% of Slovenians have a negative view of the United States. This is primarily due to the fact that they don't approve of current leadership. People still don't like Americans even though Melania Trump was born in Slovenia. Clearly having one of them in a position of leadership has not softened them on their opinion. Tunisia. Tunisia doesn't like the Americans because of what one United States citizen did. An unknown individual posted a propaganda film online called Innocence of Muslims, which contained an anti-Islamic message. This is why 47% of the citizens in Tunisia say they don't like America or Americans, because of what one person did. An entire country is being punished for the opinions of one person. Germany. Germany's feelings toward America and Americans is a bit confusing. If they were to select a relationship status on social media, they'd probably choose "It's complicated." They have a love-hate relationship with the U.S. The Pew survey shows that 47% of Germans have ill feelings toward America, but they still want to be adored by Americans. It's kind of confusing. Germany is the girl in school who hates the popular girl because she doesn't pay attention to her but would love to be friends with that same girl that she hates. Pakistan. Ever since the devastating events of 9/11, the United States has been focused on Pakistan. There's been a strong military presence there for over a decade now, which the Pakistanis don't appreciate. According to a recent study, 59 to 65% of the people there resent the U.S. Chile. According to the Pew survey, 47% of the people in Chile have a negative view of the United States. This number's lower than most on our list, but surprisingly close to half of the population looks at Americans unfavorably. According to the U.S. State Department, Chile is one of the United States' strongest partners in Latin America. Judging by the survey, though, the U.S. State Department might want to think twice about this strong partnership. Australia. According to a recent survey, 48% of Australians look at America unfavorably. It's not the American people that the Australians don't like, it's the people who are in power. Their dislike for the United States began when George W. Bush was president of the U.S. When Barack Obama became president, the ill feelings that Australians had for America did begin to cool a bit. But then things began to fall apart again when Donald Trump became president. Australians believe Trump's ambition for power fuels white nationalists and anti-racist counter-protesters. Whether or not that's true doesn't matter. That's their opinion. Canada. Canada and the United States have been allies for centuries. Canada is the United States' northern neighbor, and they've never had a problem with the U.S. When Donald Trump was elected, though, some Canadian residents admit that they disliked the U.S., all because of our current president. They don't like his policies, especially the ones that conflict with Canada's policies. Maybe when the Trumpster's time in the Oval Office is done, tensions between the U.S. and Canada will cool. It'll depend on who our next leader is, though, I'm sure. Netherlands. The Netherlands is another country with unfavorable views of the U.S. because of the current president. Around 59% of the Dutch public views Americans as ignorant, fat, racist, and paranoid extremists. Most of the 59% who say they disapprove of the United States say they do believe the U.S. is home to many who do not have those negative stereotypes. They're hoping the negatives will be shoved back into the dark holes they crawled out of once Donald Trump is out of office. Mexico. Mexico is yet another country that looks down upon the U.S., again because of Donald Trump. Over 65% of Americans are against Donald Trump because of what they call his xenophobic tendencies. Well, let's turn things around now. Jump down to the comments and let us know what country you are unfavorable towards. And subscribe for more.